Thank you for choosing Society Complex. This is your host, Von Lee. Let's get into it. Millions of low-income Americans will have a one-time tax break this year and can save some really big bucks. The federal earned income tax credit, which some of you know what that is, some of you probably don't, but it's the EIC that you see on there, is aimed at the lowest paid jobs, and it has been tripled for a group of workers that typically do not receive that many benefits or anything at all, and that is childless Americans. So, for the tax year that has just ended, low income workers that do not have children can receive a credit worth up to $1,500, which is nearly triple what the credit was worth in 2020. The American Rescue Plan, the $1.9 trillion pandemic relief bill, which Joe Biden signed into law last year, did expand this credit and raise the income limits and expanded the ages of eligible workers for 2021. So the American Rescue Plan allows anyone 19 or older who's not a full-time student and who has earnings to claim that expanded EITC. It expanded both age and income eligibility and made the credit larger. And this is according to Chris Cox, the Deputy Director of Financial Tax Policy at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. So I see this as a good thing for some people, because I know I was just reading on Facebook about, it was this meme, I guess, and it was saying how the IRS loves everybody except people that don't have kids, right? So I guess this is good for those people. So they'll be glad to receive that, even though they do not have children, which is nothing wrong with not having children, even though some people try to make it that way, but it's not. So this is how you know who is eligible. The American Rescue Plan expanded, like I said, to those who can claim the EITC by raising the income limits. That's number one, for childless workers. So taxpayers without children who earned up to $21,430 from jobs, gigs, or self-employment can claim the credit when they file their tax returns this season, which, by the way, if you didn't know, the IRS is already taking returns. So in most years, workers earning more than about $16,000 were only eligible for the EITC. So taxpayers can also choose to use the income from 2019 to qualify for this credit. So this is useful for those who lost their jobs in 2021. The IRS did, however, scrap prior year's age limits for the EITC. Previously, it was only for workers between 25 and 64 could claim it. So this tax season, though, it is any worker that is 19 years of age or older who meets the income guidelines, and they can qualify for this credit, as well as 18-year-olds who are homeless or who have been in foster care. So I'm really glad to hear that, especially about the foster care part. So those are the people that are eligible. So policy experts, they estimate that about between 17 and 20 million workers will benefit from this expanded credit, including older and younger workers. Like I said, those who have lost their jobs in 2020, so you can use your 2019 tax returns. So that is quite a few people. That's included older and younger who would normally not get this type of credit on their tax returns. And those who will receive more money, they will receive more money than usual. For about the past 5 years, there is one block here in Raleigh, North Carolina, that has seen more crime than any other location in the city. WRAL News has dug into these crime statistics for the stretch of New Bern Avenue, that is the 3100 stretch, by the way, and has learned quite a few things about the violent crime that is going down in the overall city and over the past year and in that particular area. So the research shows that 619 crimes have been reported in this particular area, with 57 of those crimes being defined as violent crimes, and this is in the past 5 years. So that, again, that is the 3100 block of New Bern Avenue, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina. So just recently on Monday night, 4 people were shot in one hotel or motel that is on the stretch of New Bern Avenue. And if you are from Raleigh, North Carolina, or you visited Raleigh, North Carolina, and most of you probably know about this place. It's right near, there's a Walmart down the street, I believe, on New Bern Avenue, and then there's Wake Tech, the medical part of Wake Tech, where they do dental assisting and things like that. It's right there, and Wake Med Hospital is right there. And I think behind this particular motel, there is a apartment complex. So, but again, the 4 people were shot in one night at that place. And a lot of guests said they could not wait to check out the next day, obviously from the shootings that happened that night. So investigators did find quite a few shell casings littered all over the ground near the front door of this particular motel when they arrived. At least one particular vehicle had bullet holes in it from the windows and the windshield. 3 victims were taken to Wake Med with non-life-threatening injuries. There was a 4th person, Kevontae Taylor, 21. He was taken to the hospital in a private car. He did, unfortunately, succumb to his injuries as a result of this shooting. Now, 2 of the victims, they were shot inside of their actual motel rooms, while the other 2 were in the parking lot. Right now, they're unclear about how these incidents did unfold, and or if they are connected, motive, and suspects. As far as right now, they do not know those things. There's one guest at this Wake Inn. She did spend the night scared to death in her room. She said it was too much things been going on around here. That's all I'm going to say. And this is according to Miss Lisa Johnson, who was a guest at the Wake Inn there on New Bern Avenue. A lot of people that stay there have said this happens on a regular basis, so they're not really surprised by the shootings, and as well as all the illegal activity and violence that occurs on the property on a regular basis. You get beat up, robbed, stabbed, shooting, cutting, whatever. This is according to a hotel guest that stays there, Mr. Oliver West. That's why I took my knife. That's what he says. There's another one, Melvin Santos. He also lives in the neighborhood across the street from the motel. Like I said, there's some apartment complex, I think some townhomes, and then there's another one behind that is directly behind this motel. He says that I don't know what's wrong with this neighborhood. He says it's kind of dangerous. Yes, it is. I've been over there. Actually, I used to work over there, and it is very dangerous over there in that area. So hopefully, they'll clean that up and they'll find whoever did these things, and things like that. But again, that is a 3100 block of New Bern Avenue at the Wake Inn. CNN Worldwide President Jeff Zucker has resigned from his position effective immediately. The stunning announcement came less than 2 months after he fired anchor Chris Cuomo, which we talked about, and his brother, from inappropriately advising his brother, who was the New York governor, Mr. Andrew on how to address his sexual misconduct allegations. As part of the investigation into Chris Cuomo tenure at CNN, I was asked about consensual relationship with my closet colleague, someone I have worked with for more than 20 years, Zucker told employees in a memo. I acknowledge the relationship evolved in recent years. I was required to disclose it when it began, but I didn't. I was wrong, and as a result, I am resigning today. So I'm glad, hey, he took some responsibility for what he did, which is more than I can say for a lot of other people, journalists and anchors and so on and so forth. But he did take some responsibility for that. He also did not name his colleague, but the relationship is with Allison Goldlust. It is his key lieutenant for the past 2 decades. But Miss Allison, she is remaining at CNN. Zucker and Zucker and Ms. Goldlust, they began working together at NBC in 1988. They did rise through their ranks as they worked through the network together until Zucker joined CNN. And then Ms. Allison was amongst his first hires. So, just before coming to CNN, though, Allison had worked briefly as a communications director for Andrew Cuomo. Interesting. But she currently is an executive vice president and chief of marketing officer at CNN. In a statement of her own, though, she says, Jeff and I have been close friends and professional partners for over 20 years. So that's a pretty long time. Recently, our relationship changed during COVID. I regret that we didn't disclose it at the right time. I'm incredibly proud of my time at CNN, and I look forward to continuing the great work we do every day. That is what Miss Allison had to say about her relationship with Jeff, which, yes, they should have disclosed it. That would have been nice for everybody to know. I also find it really, a lot of this very, very interesting. So the news of Mr. Jeff's resignation has sent a lot of shockwaves through CNN, being that it was pretty abrupt to some people. A lot of the employees had no idea that he was beginning to do that until the email landed in their inboxes. He did speak, however, with some of the CNN's top executives the morning of, which is shortly before he announced his departure from CNN. He did indicate that he would have liked to stayed on for a little bit of more period of time, but to help smooth the transition. But Warner Media wanted otherwise, so he had to go ahead and do what he had to do. Go ahead and get out of there. Now, according to the 2 people that were involved in the matter, Zucker was facing termination if he did not resign. So, like I said, he went ahead and he did the right thing, even though I feel like maybe y'all should have disclosed this, at least to them. Not to the public, but to them a little bit sooner than this. But, hey, you live and you learn. And I'm pretty sure they both will land on their feet, being that Allison still has her job and he doesn't. But I guess we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But it's very unexpected news. Some of Zucker's direct reports were out of the office and traveling when he had made this announcement. Warner Media is in the process of merging with Discovery, and many media observers thought that Zucker was going to be in line for promotion once the deal was complete, but I guess not. After they found out this information, I guess he wasn't up for that promotion anymore. He's been with CNN for a very, very long time. And CNN has planned to launch a streaming service, CNN Plus. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's going to be coming out in the spring. They've rolled out quite a few shows already. I know Don Lemon has a show on there. already, and a couple of other people, but it will roll out on 9 p.m. program, and it will replace Mr. Cuomo. So, in an email to the staffers that afternoon, Jason Kalara, he is the CEO of CNN partner Warner Media, said that three of his senior executives will lead CNN into the merger with Discovery. So, and that is Mr. Michael Bass, Amy Entelis, and Ken Holtz. So, look, CNN, y'all got a lot going on, honestly. Y'all really, really do. CNN has a lot going on because a lot of y'all have been accused of sexual harassment, including Don Lemon, Andrew Cuomo, the camera guy. But I think he's the one actually being prosecuted, which I find it really funny that the camera guy is being prosecuted and so on and so forth. But some of your big anchor, people are not. I'm just saying, take that as you will, but that is actually what is happening. That's what's happening. Um, I find that really, really crazy. I guess the more money you make, white male, I don't know, whatever's going on. I guess he wasn't high enough on the totem pole for his thing to be swept under the rug. So you know, but there we go. But there has been plenty of fallout though from the Cuomo scandal there at CNN. Now, Mr. Zucker, Jeff, he did defend Chris Cuomo for a long, better part of the year when things like that first came out. And he said that the anchorman should have been benched or worse when they find out publicly what was going on with his brother or that he advised his brother. But he did eventually fire him in early December after, he came to his revelations and so on and so forth. But before taking action, though, the CNN did retain Kravitz, a white shoe law firm, to review the case. So they did do an internal investigation there at CNN. Then when Cuomo was fired, I mean, the network also said it had received an allegation of sexual misconduct from a former junior colleague against Chris Cuomo. Even though he denied the allegation, obviously, he said, when new allegations came to us this week, we took them seriously and saw no reason to delay taking immediate action. This is from the person that they hired to do their internal investigation. But he continued to probe and investigate. And according to some sources around there, one complicating factor in Cuomo's ongoing legal battles with CNN, I don't know if he did sue them for some paychecks that I guess he thought he was owed, even after he violated his contracts. But I guess if he thinks he's owed it, hey, it doesn't hurt to try, right? But he was apparently Zucker had questioned him about his. That's when the whole question started from Zuckerberg to Allison about what was going on. So I guess he used that to his benefit because I guess he knew what was going on. But according to Warner Media Standards of Business Conduct Handbook, employees must not hire or supervise directly or indirectly someone with whom they have had a personal relationship if you are in a position of influence to influence the employment, advancement, or hiring of someone with whom you have had a personal relationship or a business they are associated with or have interest in. You must inform the HR department in advance of taking any action. So I guess all three of them are in violation. Well, I guess technically, I don't know if the female, Miss Allison, she's technically in violation because she's just on the receiving end of that. Jeff, he shouldn't have been giving her any promotions or anything. They did not disclose that relationship, nor did he disclose his close relationship with Chris Cuomo, but he eventually fired him. But he didn't, I'm not saying that she didn't deserve where she got or anything like that. But when their relationship changed over from business professional to something else during COVID, they should have definitely disclosed that. And that's just not, my personal opinion. That's just according to what their handbook is. So I guess Mr. Cuomo used that to his advantage in his little lawsuit that he probably won't get any money off of, but he might. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But CNN, y'all better shape up or ship out because y'all keep on playing around. Fox News gonna catch you, CNN. So y'all better stop playing around and get your house in order because right now y'all are not doing that great. So y'all better look, get yourselves together, get your anchors together. I know that CNN Plus is supposed to help you guys out, but I guess we're gonna see what CNN Plus has to offer and see what other changes CNN is going to make. Because I feel like if y'all gonna put other people on blast for the way they run their stations, then I suggest that you get your own house in order, CNN. A judge's son who had stormed the Capitol on January 6th dressed as a caveman has pleaded guilty. This judge's son, like I said, he stormed the Capitol on January 6th along with all the rest of them. I don't know what they thought they were doing, but anyway. He was dressed as a caveman with fur, and he was wearing a stolen police vest and carrying a police shield. Pleaded guilty this week on 3 counts during a virtual court hearing. Aaron, a 35-year-old from Brooklyn, North Carolina. Sorry about that, North Carolina. Y'all definitely don't have no Brooklyn, but Brooklyn, New York. He did plead guilty to 1 felony of civil disorder, 1 count of theft of government property, and 1 count of entering and remaining in a restricted building. Now, U.S. District Judge James E. Boisberg, he accepted the guilty plea and he is set to be sentenced in May. So, under the terms of the plea deal, the federal prosecutor has dropped some charges against him that subjected him to the longest potential prison sentence, which seems like they're doing with a lot of these defendants from the January 6th attack here on in the United States of America. So, anyway, seems like they're doing a lot of that. A lot of these cases, they're not really prosecuting them, but I don't feel like it's to what do they call that, to the fullest extent of the law. But anyway, moving moving on from that. So the longest prison sentence they would have gotten, which is obstruction of an official proceeding, which is exactly what they did. So I'm not sure why they're dropping these charges and why a lot of these other people weren't actually charged with that. So I'm not exactly sure, what's going on there. But hey, great job. I think you're doing a good job on that. So anyway, they dropped that charge against him. This judge's son that would have gave him that. So, but he did plead guilty to felony charges that made it unlawful to obstruct, impede, and interfere with a law enforcement officer during the commission of a civil disorder. So it comes at a maximum penalty of 5 years in federal prison, which he probably won't get, but that's what it's supposed to be. His father is Judge Stephen, and he is in the Kings County Supreme Court there in New York. So he did tell the New York Post that during the Capitol riots last year, he did believe then President Donald Trump supporters were cheated and that certain states were stolen. So I guess we're still going on with the stolen election. And because you're a judge's son, you get nothing. You get charges dropped. Which, like I said, it's not even that. I mean, a lot of these people. I mean, it's been hundreds of people that have been arrested from this, and most of them are getting probation. They're still allowed to go on vacations out of the country, and et cetera, et cetera. And I would think that we would hold Americans more accountable for doing things in America that we would anybody else, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. But I mean, I don't know. I find it really crazy that this is even happening. Like when I first saw it in the news, anyway, I thought it was completely insane. Honestly, I didn't even believe. I thought that was a hoax about what I saw that day. But according to the court documents, showed the plea offer was extended to him on January 20th. Under the terms of the agreement, he could get a sentencing reduction, which, like I said, he more than likely will. He'll probably get probation or something like that. It clearly demonstrates acceptance of responsibility. The FBI made more than 700 arrests in connection with the January 6th attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Like I said, a lot of them didn't even receive jail time. If they did, it was probably less than a year, a couple of weeks or a couple of months, probation, and things like that. So anyway, yeah, so that happened on January 6th of last year. I don't know. Like I said, I would think that we would do a little more about that. I mean, I know we got our January 6th committee, which they're doing great things. Some of the things I didn't even think that they would be able to get to be doing, but they're getting some documents from former President Donald Trump and things like that. So I was really surprised to even see that they were doing that, and I'm honestly surprised that they even arrested these people. So I don't know, but I guess if you attack your own country, then this is what you get here in the United States. Trying to stop an election, but whatever. Who am I? I'm just me out here giving my opinion. Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned right here to Society Complex with your host Von Lee. There have been 4 people arrested in connection with the overdose death of actor Michael K. Williams. And this is according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. This is what they said in a press release that they did about Williams, who died last year at the age of 45. Irvin Cartagena, 39, Hector Robles, 57, Luis Cruz, 56, and Carlos Maxi, 70. They were each charged with conspiracy to distribute and possess with an intent to distribute fentanyl, analog, fentanyl, and heroin, and each of these carry a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. One of them was also charged with causing Williams' death in a connection with the alleged conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. And again, this is according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. One of them, Mr. Irvin, he was arrested in Puerto Rico, and he would appear in a federal court later on this week. And the 3 other defendants were arrested in Manhattan on the exact same day and are scheduled to appear in the city's federal court later on this week also. The authorities identified a drug trafficking organization that had been operating in the Williamsburg neighborhood of Brooklyn since August 2020. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, they allege that the organization does sell heroin laced with fentanyl and fentanyl analog on the street and in the apartment building. They also allege that this particular organization sold these drugs to Mr. Williams on the day before he overdosed. Mr. Irvin, he allegedly executed the transaction to Mr. Williams. So this alleged transaction, they say they have caught on surveillance video, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Williams was a Emmy-nominated actor, is best known for his roles in The Wire, and he was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment on September 6th of last year. He was wearing the same clothes that he apparently was wearing in this alleged surveillance video from the day before, and that is what is apparently in the charging documents. Now, the medical examiner found that he accidentally died of acute intoxication by the combined effects of fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine, and p-fluorofentanyl, and cocaine. This is according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they allege that he used the fentanyl-laced heroin that he purchased from the Brooklyn-based drug organization. Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office also alleged that the four defendants continued to sell drugs in Brooklyn and also in Manhattan after Williams' death. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams called drug overdose a public health crisis, and he has vowed to bring those involved to justice. He also says deadly opiates like fentanyl and heroin don't care about who you are or what you've accomplished, he said. This is, another thing he said. They just feed addiction and lead to tragedy. Mr. Williams, he was well known for playing Omar Little, like I said, in The Wire. As he told NPR in 2016, that he had often struggled with separating himself from Little's character while he was filming The Wire, and it hit a little close to home for him. He also said that the outlet had battled with addiction while he was actually filming the show The Wire. He was noting that in jeopardy of destroying everything I had to work for so hard, he still continued to film The Wire. And they also allowed him to keep filming. And I'm not going to sit here and say that nobody knew what he was going through. So, it's a tragic end to his life. He actually was a pretty great actor. I don't know if you ever watched The Wire or him. He's been in other things too, but I don't know if you guys have ever watched him in anything, but it's a tragedy. It really is. And I am glad that they are creating these new laws where the people that are selling the drugs to them are actually going to jail also. It's not like, I've heard this one comment a while ago about it, and they said, well, just because they're selling them the drugs doesn't mean they should go to jail. And also just because they lace it with something extra doesn't mean they should go to jail, because it's the person that's using that is responsible for their own drug use, which is true because you are a drug addict, obviously. But at the same time, I feel like if you are going to sell drugs, not that I'm promoting selling drugs, because you definitely should not do that. But I feel like you, just like anything else you sell, you do have an obligation to kind of make sure it's like the right product. But I also can understand in that type of environment where you would want to use something that would make people more addicted to your product to get, their profits, which is actually pretty selfish. So I think they see this as a way to combat drug dealers and addicts, but more so drug dealers. So at least, I don't know if drug dealers will be like extinct or anything like that. I very highly doubt that, because if you're a drug addict, just like if you're an alcoholic and not getting help for either one of those things, you're gonna find it. But like, at least there won't be so many readily available places that you can get drugs, because drugs is not like alcohol. Alcohol you can go pretty much anywhere and buy. So like, you really have to be on your game to be, go to AA and things like that for alcoholics. But drugs are a little bit different because, those things are done, illegally, basically. So, I mean, those things are a little bit hard to man and control. That's why I said I feel like it's a good thing that they did create some of these new laws where the drug dealers are actually going to jail because of drugs that they sold to someone. Maybe they'll think twice about selling drugs and doing these extra things to the drugs, just like marijuana. They put fentanyl in marijuana too, and heroin and cocaine in marijuana too. So, which is why I'm glad in some parts of the United States and other places that they have legalized marijuana, but it is not like buying it on the street where they can add these certain additives to it and things like that. So that is a good thing, and I feel like we're going a little bit closer to where we should be in this drug war, I guess, if you will. And we are back. There have been 6 tech-savvy juveniles that have been identified as persons of interest by the FBI in the particular bomb threats that have been going against several HBCU black colleges. More than a dozen historically black colleges and universities have received bomb threats in the month of January and on the first day of Black History Month here in February. So, a law enforcement official says that the FBI has identified 6 of these individuals or persons of interest around the country who are all juveniles. They are suspected of making these threats. Officials say that they appear to be tech savvy and they are using very, very sophisticated methods to try and disguise their source of threats, which they appears to have been of racist motivation. And that's not me saying it, that's the FBI and law enforcement saying it. So do not say that I said that. That is them saying that, okay? That is them saying that, not me, all right? So Howard University was among one of the first to issue a shelter-in-place order on early Tuesday of this week, here beginning on, February 1st this week, just a day after school and several other historically black colleges received these bomb threats. So, a bomb threat against a university is being investigated. An alert from Howard University has said, according to the NBC Washington, all persons on campus are advised to shelter in place until more information is available. So, according to them, the emergency timestamp on that is 3:29 a.m. That was on a Tuesday, and that was the first day of Black History Month. So, but at all of them, they were given an all clear later on, especially at what we're talking about now, which is Howard University, following an investigation and a search around the campus and a little bit further. In addition to Howard University, it was the University of District of Columbia, also in Washington, D.C., Morgan State University, and Copen State University in Baltimore, Fort Valley State University in Fort Valley, Georgia, Kentucky State University in Frankfort, Kentucky, Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans, Edward Waters University in Jacksonville, Florida, Alcorn State University in Lorman, Mississippi Valley, State University in Ida Benton, Mississippi, Rusk College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, Spelman College in Atlanta, Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, Tougaloo College in Tougaloo, Mississippi. And all of these reported threats, according to the school officials and social media posts. So places like Howard, Kentucky State, Jackson State, and the University of District of Columbia, Tougaloo College, and Copen State issued all clear alerts as they were finding out the threats to be unsubstantiated, and soon to be after they had reported these threats on these campuses. But that's really not the point, though. Now, is it? The point is that they were being done in the first place. There's been so many done, and it has been only at HBCUs. So I know a lot of people, some people have problems with HBCUs and some people don't. I was on Facebook, I believe it was, and I was reading the comments about it, and I read this one guy's comment, and he was like, the racist colleges, HBCUs. So in order for it to be racist, which means that we only target and, you know, admit African Americans, which is not the case. Yes, they do target African Americans because they are HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. But there are, I mean, just so you guys know, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people probably don't know this. I mean, I didn't even know this until I got in my early 20s that they do actually admit other people, even if they don't per se advertise that, but they do admit other people. I mean, I'm here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Shaw University, which is an HBCU. I've seen plenty of Asian and Caucasian people at that university, even though obviously it's a predominantly black, but they do admit other people. So I don't know how that's racist, even though I feel like they probably should maybe do a little bit more advertising to other people, let them know that they are inclusive, which I would think that you would actually want to be inclusive at those type of universities, because when we have other people going to those colleges, we can really teach other races and other people about black culture, about black education and things like that. So, you know, it's not just that, but I do feel like we should do it, because that way when they do go there, they'll get the experience of it. And sometimes you don't understand things until you've actually experienced it. So that's why I do believe that HBCUs are a great tool when they admit other races into those schools. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, well, you know, black people can't have anything, so on and so forth. But I don't, this is the way I feel, and this is like my personal opinion, though. I don't know that I would want everything that I do just to be around black people. Like, I'm an inclusive person, so I want other people to be a part of my culture and what is important to me. And that doesn't matter what race you are or what gender you are in certain circumstances. Now, some things, obviously, they're just for women, just for men, just for, you know, things like that. But I don't want to exclude myself and exclude other people from learning about me. I don't want to tell someone that they're wrong for trying to be included in what I have going on, because there's no other way for them to learn unless they are included. Just like we'll never learn, people of color will never learn certain other things that other cultures have if we're not included. So I feel like something like that goes both ways. So it's just like the Bath and Body Works thing that's going on right now. I feel like I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, I love the collection. Yes, they are like kind of recycling their old, well, not old, a lot of them are new scents, and putting the packaging on it and doing things like that. But that is what Bath and Body Works is. They don't advertise, they don't buy or advertise anything else other than what they create in the scents that they created. And that has nothing to do with race. That has something to do with business. That is just a business thing. So in business, that is, you know, that is what Bath and Body Works is. Bath and Body Works creates their own scents, and they want to keep their own scents. And I'm not saying they can't branch out and feature other products, but I have never known Bath and Body Works to do such a thing. And that doesn't include anybody, whether they're white, black, Chinese, Asian. It doesn't matter. I've never seen them do it. If I'm wrong, you can please tell me that I'm wrong. You can follow me on social media at Society Complex when I'm on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. You know, anywhere you want to be, I'm like, Visa, I'm out here. So you can let me know. But I've never seen them do it. And I don't think that's wrong, because that's just the way business goes. Just like if we create black businesses, we don't branch out and we don't put other people's names on our things, and we don't we don't include other people's things unless you're like some type of reseller or something like that. So that's just the way Bath and Body Works business model is set up, right? So, but that's the thing. I don't see, a lot of people are saying it's wrong and they're using the black dollar, so on and so forth, and this and that. But at the end of the day, I mean, we do have to shop somewhere. So, and a lot of black people shop at Bath and Body Works. Hell, a lot of people shop at Bath and Body Works. I mean, the stuff is great. It smells great. I mean, my experience with Bath and Body Works has not been anything less than great. So I don't know about anybody else. I've seen a lot of black employees there, black managers, black executives, and things like that. But we'll get into that on a later episode here on Society Complex with your host, Von Lee. So make sure you stay tuned to the upcoming episode. Does the black community have a problem with Bath and Body Works, or do some people just have a problem with themselves? Okay, so that is going to be a very, very intriguing episode. So make sure you stay tuned to that. Comedian and actress Whoopi Goldberg has been suspended from The View after making some very controversial comments, saying that the Holocaust was not about race. Whoopi Goldberg, which is now 66 years old, which she does not look like it, I'm just saying, has been suspended from The View for 2 weeks due to these controversial comments concerning the Holocaust. The co-host and moderator, she has faced major backlash from her comments on The View, saying that the Holocaust was not about race. So this came as they were having a discussion on The View about schools banning one of the many books that they have banned. Now, she did apologize, but despite that, she was suspended, and she has obtained many backlash, even more than Meghan McCain when she made some racist comments as well, or at least about it. I don't know if it was racist or not, but it's definitely not the same reaction. Effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg from her wrong and hurtful comments. This is according to ABC News President Kim Godwin. She did announce this week on Tuesday night, February 1st. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. So I find it really funny that she has to reflect on her comments, but a lot of those racist comments that are made on The View, they don't have to reflect on those. I feel like it was like two people that made some comments about the black community, but okay. I guess that's where we are now. So anyway, like I said before, things should go both ways, but that is where they are now. Whoopi was called out after the episode on January 31st about discussing a book. I think it's called Maus, but sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but it's MAUS. This book was banned, like many other books about LGBTQ life, and a lot of other things about concerning race, critical race theory, LGBTQ, and other races and things like that. A lot of these books are being banned all around the country. But I say that if those books are banned, those are probably the books that you should read. So I hope, kids and adults too, do go out and read some of these books, and some of us stop being so selfish just because we don't believe in it or whatever the case may be. Doesn't mean our children shouldn't know about it, and adults too, because adults don't know everything. And things are about the way we're moving here in America, at least the United States, and a lot of parts of the world. We are moving towards things that are inclusive to all things and all different types of people, not just about their race. So that is an inevitable thing that is happening. So, either you're going to teach it to them or somebody else will. So I feel like that's a good thing, because if we want people to know about us, we also want to know about them and want to know about a lot of, as much as you can, really. Knowledge is power. And so that's what we really should be teaching our children. Knowledge is power. And if you know about other people, you know about other cultures, then it will make it easier for you to interact with them. It won't grow up the same way some of us have grown up, not knowing anything about anyone else other than ourselves. And I don't think that's right either. I don't think it's right for just us to know about a black community because I'm black. I don't think that's not correct. I don't want to just know about white history because I'm white. I want to know about Asian history just because I'm Asian. I want to know that and more, so I know how to interact with other people. I can be friends with other people. I can be in relationships with other people. I can make money. I can do all these things, and I'm able to communicate with anyone on any level, with any race, any culture, any person, LGBTQ person, or any trans person, or anything like that. That's the type of person that I want to be. So I would encourage you to ask yourself what kind of person you want to be, what type of parent you want to be, what type of teacher that you want to be, and what type of child that you want to raise. Because it is just not about what you believe when you start teaching your children things. It's not necessarily about what you believe. It's not necessarily about that. It's about what's going on in the world other than in your own home. And you can say it's about right or wrong, but I don't think these things are necessarily about right and wrong. You know, even when it comes to religion, like it's not necessarily a right and wrong. Yeah, you may believe this, that, and the third, but there's a lot of churches and things like that are inclusive to LGBTQ people, different types of races, and different types of cultures. So I would never want to teach anyone that what I have to say is the only right way. I definitely wouldn't want to be that type of parent. What I say is it, and that's it. Because I don't want to raise a child that goes out into the world and thinks that their opinion is the only one that matters. Their race is the only one that matters. Their culture is the only one that matters. And I know a lot of people, they say that, you know, we shouldn't teach these things in school, but that's the only place that we're going to be able to teach because kids are in school half of their day, more than half of their day. And if you're not going to teach them at home, then that is the job of the educator. Since everybody wants to put everything on teachers, then why not put that on them as well? I'm just saying, I'm not saying, you know, we teach each other, you know, we have to like this and that, because liking something and being respectful of something are two different things. Like, you can not like gay people, but you can respect them at the same time, because like and respect are two different things. Not everybody likes everything about people and religions and cultures and things like that, but respect is where we need to be now, and we should be able to debate those things, you know, with respect. But some things are not up for debate. It's either you're going to like it or you're not, or you're going to be with these people or you're not, or you're going to be inclusive of them or you're not. And which is certainly your right, but it is not your right to tell someone they can't read this or they can't read that or they can't do this or they can't do that just because you don't like it, or your religion tells you that you shouldn't like it, or your religion tells you that you shouldn't be around these people. If that's the kind of religion and people that you raise, I don't want to be around them either. And I want to be around you, because I want to teach people that I want to hear what other people have to say about themselves and about other issues and about other things, whether I agree or I don't agree. Because once you start listening and communicating, then you will actually know what you do agree with and not agree with, and not just something that you were raised with. Those are limiting beliefs when we start talking about those things. Those are limiting beliefs, because you are limiting yourself because of something that was taught to you. And just because something is taught to you doesn't mean it's right. And if something that's taught to you doesn't mean that you actually believe it. It's just got taught to you. So you have to decide what kind of parent you want to be, kind of person you want to be, kind of teacher you want to be, who you want your kids to be, and things like that. What kind of spouse you want to be, what kind of husband you want to be, what kind of wife you want to be, what kind of person do you want to be? And that's what it comes down to, a question of nothing, laws, ordinances, policies, or anything like that should be based on any religions, what we like and what we don't like, because there are different types of people all around the United States of America and beyond. And people come to the United States of America so they can be free. And freedom is for everyone, not just for the things that we like. Freedom is for things that we don't like. People fight for our freedoms of the things that we don't like, but they have the right to do them and be who they are. That is what these the Army, military, Navy, Air Force, and etc. Those are the things they fight for. They don't fight for what they like and what they don't like. They fight for you to have the freedom to do as you please, regardless if someone likes it or not. That is what they fight for. And we should all be fighting for the same thing. So don't ask for anything that you're not willing to give. And that goes for everybody. I don't care what man or woman or race or gender or sex or sexual preference or whatever it is that you have going on. That is for everyone. Don't ask for something that you are not giving, and don't ask for someone to listen to you when you are not listening to them. And that is where I think that this Whoopi Goldberg thing has came in, because it's been a lot of things said. I mean, and I've seen it. I don't know if a lot of you guys have seen it, but if you're on TikTok, I've definitely seen it. I've seen people say that, slavery in Africa was not about race. It was about money. So, I mean, come on. Where are we at when we can say these things? One person can say it and another person can't. And I think that with a lot of things, we're being very, very sensitive about things. And I think I've said this on a previous podcast. We have got to learn to listen to each other, whether we are offended or not. I feel like if you are offended by something, that's honestly a good thing. That means you should be open to listening to what the other person has to say. If you're offended by something someone says, then you should be open to the conversation. And that's where I think the problem is right now, especially with COVID-19 and race and things like that. That is where the problem comes in. We don't want to listen to each other about anything. We just want to be right, and that's it. We don't like what we like, and then everybody should like what we like. That's not the way America works. It's not the way it works. So I think we have to move past that and push past that to actually be able to progress. And I think there's been a lot of progression, especially over the pandemic. There's been a lot of progression on those things, but I think we'll continue to progress. And, and that's just the way things go. But you can tell me how you feel about this on my social media. You can Google me at Society Complex 1. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Snapchat. And you can certainly leave me a voice message on any of these apps, especially on my podcast. Anywhere that you listen to your podcast. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. I'm on Pandora, Deezer, wherever you find your podcast, I am probably there. Okay, so there should be a link right there. You can leave me your voice message if you want to talk about anything or anything like that. You want to comment on this or anything else that I have said in this podcast. Okay. So, like I said, make sure you just hit me up on social media. You can welcome to comment. I'm going to be trying to do a little more on social media, posting videos, video clips, and things like that. So please stay tuned for further and further progression and advancement here on Society Complex with your host, Von Lee. Thank you so much for tuning in to Society Complex with your host, Von Lee. We'll see you next time.